I was 12 when I first learned I was the wrong gender for my family's legacy. It was career day at school, and I proudly told my class I would one day run Mitchell Manufacturing just like my father. That night, I overheard my parents talking. "She's got such a head for business," Richard, my mother, said. "You should see how she lights up when you talk about the company." My father's response was immediate. "It doesn't matter. The company goes to David. That's tradition. Girls don't run manufacturing companies." 15 years later, I stood in my brother's office, our father's old office, watching him sign the paperwork that would fire me from the company I'd given my life to. "Nothing personal, Emma," David smirked, sliding the papers across his desk. "But let's be honest, you're not cut out for this. Maybe start a cute little boutique. Something more feminine." I kept my face neutral as I signed, remembering every sacrifice I had made. The Stanford MBA, the countless late nights, the supply chain innovations that had boosted profits by 40% last year. None of it mattered. I had the wrong chromosomes. "Clear out your desk by end of day," David added, already turning back to his phone. "And Emma, Dad was right. Girls don't belong in manufacturing." I walked out with my head high, past employees who wouldn't meet my eyes, past the systems I built, which David had spent the last year dismantling in favor of his golf buddies' half-baked ideas. In my office, mine for one more hour, I packed up 15 years of work, photos, awards, business plans Dad had never read. And at the bottom of a drawer, I found something that made me smile for the first time that day. A list of every supplier, contractor, and logistics company Mitchell Manufacturing depended on, along with their contract renewal dates. David had never cared about the relationships I had built, the trust I had earned, the favors I was owed. A shadow fell across my doorway. Marcus Chen, head of logistics. His expression told me he knew exactly what had happened. "Need help with those boxes?" I shook my head. "I'm fine, Marcus. But remember that conversation we had last month about starting our own logistics company?" He nodded slowly. "You mean the one where you mentioned having enough capital to buy out 3 major shipping contractors?" I pulled up an email draft I prepared months ago when I first saw this day coming. "How would you like to be COO of Summit Logistics? Incorporated last week. Fully funded. Ready to start operations." His eyes widened as he scanned the business plan. "Emma, this could control the entire regional supply chain. If you got the right contracts. You mean the ones up for renewal? The ones David doesn't even know are expiring?" Understanding dawned on his face. "You've been planning this." "For years," I admitted. "Why fight for a seat at their table when I can build my own?" Over the next 2 hours, more visitors arrived. Sarah from accounting passed over for a promotion in favor of David's friend. James from operations ignored when he warned about quality control issues. One by one, they accepted job offers from Summit Logistics. By the time security arrived to escort me out, my team was in place. My plan was in motion. David called after me from his office. "Goodbye, Emma. Some people just aren't meant for real business." I smiled, knowing it would infuriate him. "Goodbye, David. Give my best to Hansen Shipping. While you still can." The confusion on his face was priceless. That night, I sat in my home office, surrounded by the silly girl thoughts that would soon revolutionize regional logistics. My phone buzzed. Jack Hansen, CEO of Hansen Shipping, confirming our Monday meeting. I looked at the old photo on my desk. Dad standing proudly beside David, his hand on his son's shoulder. Me slightly off to the side, always edge out of the frame. "Girls don't run manufacturing companies," Dad had said. He was right. I wouldn't be running a manufacturing company. I'd be running the entire supply chain they couldn't survive without. Monday morning arrived with a flurry of panicked texts from David. I ignored them, focusing instead on the Hansen Shipping contract spread across my new conference table. "Emma, this is brilliant," Jack Hansen said, reviewing our proposal. "Real-time tracking, optimized routes, consolidated shipping lanes. This could cut costs by 30%. The same proposal I gave Mitchell Manufacturing last quarter," I said, before they dismissed it as overcomplicating things. "Their loss, our gain." Jack signed with a flourish. "Summit Logistics is now our exclusive regional partner." As if on cue, my phone buzzed again. I picked up. "What the hell did you do?" David's voice was shrill. "Hansen just canceled our contract." "Did they? How unfortunate. I heard they signed with some new logistics company. Summit something. You're behind this. Behind what, David? A better business model? Isn't that what you called real business? The stream of profanity that followed was cut short when I hung up. I had more meetings to attend. By Wednesday, we secured 5 more contracts. Thursday, we acquired the region's largest warehousing operation. Friday, we announced our new supply chain management system, the same one David had dismissed months ago. Mitchell Manufacturing stock dropped 15% today. Marcus reported, handing me my afternoon coffee. Investors are panicking over supply chain instability. Just wait until next week, I said. Phase 2 begins Monday. It was beautiful in its simplicity. We didn't just control shipping now, we were about to control raw materials. The contracts I had quietly cultivated over years were all coming due within weeks. David never saw it coming, but he would. Soon. Emergency board meeting, Sarah announced, skimming her tablet. Mitchell Manufacturing is in crisis. Unprecedented supply chain disruptions. Their words, not mine. I could picture it perfectly. David, pacing the office he stole, fumbling for excuses as furious board members demanded answers. He blamed everyone but himself, never realizing his own arrogance had created his worst nightmare. The next few weeks were a masterclass in strategic dismantling. Every supplier Mitchell Manufacturing approached, we offered a better deal. Every shipping route they tried to secure, we optimized a competing one. Piece by piece, the empire they took for granted crumbled. Then finally, the call I'd been expecting. Emma, my mother's voice was hesitant. We need to talk. I let the silence stretch. About? The company. Which one, Mom? Mitchell Manufacturing or Summit Logistics? Because only one of them is thriving. A pause. Your father, he never meet. Never meant what? I cut in, to dismiss every idea I had, to hand the company to David just because he was a man, to let him run it into the ground while he ignored every warning. More silence. Then softly, the board meeting is tomorrow. David, he's going to lose his position. The shareholders are furious. I almost laughed. Sounds like a personnel issue. Nothing to do with me. Please, Emma, he's your brother. Funny, he wasn't my brother when he was firing me and mocking my business ideas. I hung up, no regret, no second thoughts. But her words lingered, not because I felt any obligation to save David, but because tomorrow's board meeting wouldn't just mark my victory. It would determine whether I settled for winning or claimed total dominance. I picked up my phone. Jack, remember that expansion plan we discussed? Move it up. We announce it at 9 a.m. tomorrow. The next morning, I watched the Mitchell Manufacturing board meeting via video link, an easy arrangement when you control a company's entire communications infrastructure. David looked terrible. His usual crisp suit was wrinkled, his hair unkempt. He stood before the board, floundering as he tried to explain Mitchell's 40% drop in value. We're exploring alternative supply chain options, he stammered, reaching out to new partners. There are no new partners, a board member interrupted. Summit Logistics has locked up the entire regional network. They just announced a $200 million expansion. Face it, David, we're dead in the water. David tugged at his collar. Maybe we could reach out to Summit. Try to negotiate. The boardroom door opened. Oh, now you want to negotiate? Every head turned. I stepped inside, my Summit Logistics ID badge gleaming. Dad half rose from his chair. Emma, what are you doing here? I smiled, representing the only company in this room that actually knows how to run a business. David's face darkened. You planned this. You sabotaged us. I shook my head. No, David. I built something better. Something you could have had, if you hadn't been so convinced that girls don't belong in business. I laid out my offer. Fair, more than fair, really. Summit would absorb all employees, preserve the Mitchell name on key product lines, and ensure the company's legacy continued. Just not under David. All in favor? The board chairman asked. The vote was unanimous. Even Dad, looking resigned, raised his hand. David lurched to his feet. This isn't right. Dad, tell them. Dad's voice was heavy. It's over, son. He turned to me. Emma, I was wrong. About everything. I met his gaze without flinching. Yes, you were. Then I turned to leave, but paused. Oh, and David, don't bother packing your office. I had it cleared out this morning. Try not to feel too bad. Some people just aren't meant for real business. His own words thrown back at him. The perfect ending to a plan 15 years in the making. That evening, I sat in my real office, earned through skill, not chromosomes. Framed on the wall was my first act as CEO. Mitchell Manufacturing's stock certificate. Sarah appeared in the doorway. Your father is here. He looked older than I remembered. Smaller somehow. The company, he started, is thriving, I finished. No thanks to your outdated ideas about who should run it. He exhaled. I'm sorry. I arched a brow. For what? Not believing in me. Dismissing me? Handing the company to David without a second thought. Each accusation landed like a weight. For all of it, he admitted. For underestimating you. For thinking talent had anything to do with gender. I studied him, searching for insincerity. I found none. Well, I said finally, at least you're learning. He nodded. I am. Then, hesitating. That's actually why I came. I want you to meet someone. A young woman rolled in beside him, a wheelchair-bound engineer with sharp eyes and an air of quiet brilliance. Emma, this is Jessica Chen, Dad said, a manufacturing prodigy from MIT. I thought you should hear her out. I raised an eyebrow, and why is that? He actually blushed, because when I saw her proposals, I realized something. I remembered all the ideas of yours I never read, and I didn't want to make the same mistake twice. Jessica looked nervous but determined. Mr. Mitchell said you might be interested in my AI integration models for production efficiency. I smiled. I am, but first, tell me about yourself. Not your gender, not your disability, just your vision for the future of manufacturing. Her eyes lit up. As she launched into her ideas, I caught Dad watching us, pride and regret warring on his face. Later that night, Mom stopped by my office. I saw David today. How's customer service treating him? I smirked. She sighed. He's humbled, and he wanted me to give you this. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. Emma, I spent years believing I deserved success just because of who I was. You proved that success is earned. You built something incredible, and you beat me fair and square. I won't ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I will say this. I see it now. I see you now. I'm proud of you. David asterisk asterisk. I exhaled slowly, folding the letter. I didn't need his pride. But maybe, just maybe, I'd appreciated it. Smiling, I turned back to my desk. There was still work to do. After all, this empire wasn't going to build itself. And now everyone knew exactly whose hands it belonged in. I read the letter twice, then picked up my phone. David, be in my office tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. Bring your customer service reports and any real ideas you've gathered from actually listening to our clients. The next morning he walked in. Gone was the overconfident CEO swagger. In its place was something quieter. Humbled. Sit down, I said. Tell me what you've learned. For the next hour, David laid out a detailed analysis of customer complaints, supply chain inefficiencies, and possible solutions. He hadn't just done the work, he'd understood it. Not bad, I said when he finished. How would you like to head up our new customer experience division? His eyes widened. You trust me with that. Trust is earned, just like leadership. Just like respect. That's how this company works now. And it did. Over the next year, Mitchell Manufacturing became something neither Dad nor David had ever envisioned. Jessica's AI-driven production systems transformed our efficiency. David's customer-first strategies rebuilt our reputation. Summit Logistics remained an industry powerhouse. But the real transformation, that happened in the company's culture. Walk into any Mitchell Manufacturing facility now, and you'll find leadership built on talent, not tradition. You'll see Jessica mentoring a new generation of engineers, David working alongside her, learning instead of dictating, and Dad, semi-retired, but still watching with something between pride and regret. Your latest article's making waves, Marcus said one morning, tossing a magazine onto my desk. The cover showed me standing on the factory floor. The headline read, The Manufacturing Maven, How Emma Mitchell revolutionized an industry while breaking glass ceilings. Marcus grinned. Best part is the sidebar about our mentorship program. The Mitchell Future Leaders Program, my passion project. It opened doors for brilliant minds often overlooked due to gender, disability, or background. Like Jessica, who was now guiding pre-promising engineering students. Dad called it expensive charity at first, I mused, until he saw the innovations coming out of it. Speaking of Dad, Marcus gestured toward my office door. He stood there, holding a familiar leather portfolio, the same one that had once contained my business proposals, the ones he'd ignored. I found these while cleaning out my old office, he said quietly. Finally read them. They were brilliant, Emma. They still are. I'm sorry I couldn't see that sooner. I took the portfolio, flipping through the ideas that had built my empire. Want to hear my latest proposal? Expanding the mentorship program internationally. He sat down, eyes filled with something I'd never seen before. Respect. Tell me everything. And so I did. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't proving someone wrong. It's proving yourself right. Again and again. Until even the deepest prejudices crumble under the weight of undeniable success. David stops by my office every Friday now, not as the entitled hare he once was, but as someone who finally understands what real leadership means. You know what I realized? He said one afternoon. When Dad said, girls don't belong in business, he wasn't just wrong about you. He was wrong about business itself. It's not about gender or control. It's about vision, I finished. About building something that lasts. About recognizing talent, wherever you find it. He nodded. Thanks for teaching me that, even if your method was dramatic. I smiled, thinking back to the day I took his company from him. Some lessons are meant to hurt. On my office wall, my old termination papers still hang beside my stock certificates, but now they're surrounded by something even more important, photos of our diverse leadership team, of our mentees of the future we're building. And in one, David and I stand side by side on the factory floor, not as rivals, but as leaders. Because the greatest victory isn't just proving someone wrong about you. It's helping them be right about everything else.